Hello, my friend. I've created for us today a slightly different perspective because we're about to dive into the topic of judgment versus discernment. Now, this is such an important topic because the difference between these two could mean the difference between having your energy and your focus hijacked or being able to clearly navigate your reality. Now, for today's video, we're going to keep it pretty simple. We could go deep on this topic, but I'd like to just start by offering you a few perspectives that are going to help you as you move through life, again, so that you are less likely to be hijacked and more likely to remember the very powerful creator you are. So, first things first, let's just take a look at what the difference between judgment and discernment might be. So, for this example, let's use a metaphor. Let's use the metaphor of being an artist, okay? So, if you're an artist, you have, let's say, a bunch of colors in front of you and a canvas. And if we were looking at this from the perspective of judgment, we might say, okay, I'm going to paint a picture with a flower. It's going to be a sunflower. So the correct colors to use are yellow and green. And if I use any other color, that's bad and that's wrong and incorrect and it's a failure, right? Okay, now that's judgment. Now notice how, again, there's a right or wrong there. And there's also a sense of emotion. There's like this emotional perspective and projection there. Discernment could look a little similar, but there's a key difference. Discernment might say, okay, I'm going to paint a sunflower. And the sunflower, in this case, I'm going to choose yellow and green. And those are the resonant colors for the outcome I want to create. Now, notice there is no judgment about the use of other colors or not. In this example, of discernment, the person is simply able to decide what choices they want to make without needing to make the other things right or wrong. Now, it might seem like the same thing is happening in this scenario, but with judgment, what we are doing is we are taking a fixed position and we are applying resistance to it. We are applying resistance to something we are perceiving happening in life. With discernment, we are observing what is happening and then we're making a choice. The difference is, again, in judgment, there is usually an emotional charge around it, and more times than not, when we have an emotional charge, especially if it's a negative one, what do we tend to do? We tend to try to fix it, and we usually try and fix it externally. We usually go, okay, I don't like the way that this is happening, and we try and argue or we try and come up with external solutions of how to fix things. And at that point, when we are operating with life that way, in that moment, we are temporarily forgetting where our strongest power is, and that comes from the place of guiding our inner focus, listening to our inner voice, and taking the inspired action on where it wants to go. When we are in external problem solving mode, we are attempting to augment something that is just one step removed from our internal focus of what we can actually guide and control. Now, I am not suggesting that you can't do things to augment your external reality. But what ends up happening a lot of times when we take the approach of attempting to constantly respond to our reality by trying to do a problem-solving mode is that we find ourselves in a habitual pattern of being in a problem-solving mode. And what that looks like is, where you find the people who are like have a lot of success or have reached a lot of the goals they wanted, but then they keep asking themselves, why am I not happy? Or why do I still feel anxious? And a lot of times it's because they're not currently in a pattern where they're connected to their inner guidance, which is where the field of deep information and synchronicity comes from. It's where we find our actual guidance to live the steps in our life that happen beyond what the mind can understand and guide us to. So This is sometimes what happens when we operate from a place of judgment. And this is another word for this, is what we should or should not do. Anytime we hear that word, that's an indicator that we could pump the brakes and go, ooh, I just used the S word. Who's actually saying that? Where is this should or should not coming from? Because you see, the fundamentals of life are fairly neutral. The fundamentals of life, there may be polarity. There's light and dark. There's intense, there's calm, but none of these things in and of themselves are incorrect for existing. And this is what judgment basically boils down to. Judgment at its lighter side is like, let's have a debate and try and see eye to eye. And at its heavier side, it is, I will destroy you for not having the same view as me. And this is the field of judgment. Discernment doesn't mean we have to not have certain perspectives or opinions or anything like that. What it means, though, is we're not getting emotionally charged by it, and we're not saying that that's not allowed to exist. What we're saying is, oh, that's not what I'm choosing for me right now. We're saying, or maybe not ever, we're just saying, okay, not that, yes, this. And that simple distinction is the difference between you feeling like something is being acted upon you that you have to change or force, or you simply being aware of, not that, this. I invite you, if it feels good, to feel into the difference of operating from a way of judgment through operating through a way of discernment. So, for the purpose of this video, I feel that's a good place to pause because we laid down a foundation: judgment and discernment. What I will add is when we operate from discernment, this is one of the key pathways we use as deliberate reality creators to guide our focus. We are far less likely to get in mental loop spirals. And it doesn't mean we don't feel emotion, but now we're not saying that this external thing has to change for our emotional state to change. Instead, we are acknowledging something is happening. We experience our emotional state, and then we go, okay, and now what am I focusing on? Listen, and what is my inner guidance for that? And this is bringing the energy back within yourself where you can actually make choices, because we can choose where we focus, we can choose how we respond to an experience. And it is not our business what a lot of the other elements of life have going on. It is our responsibility to listen and take the appropriate responsible action from the inside out. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, if you'd like to dive deeper into this topic, please let me know in the comments. And if you have found some value, some use in this discussion, please do like, subscribe, do all these things, because it helps me track what it is that we would love to dive deeper on. I'll have some resources in the descriptions, and I'm looking forward to going even deeper in this conversation with you as we go. If you are interested in deeper explorations as well, please do look in the description for some opportunities to do so in certain settings. I look forward to talking again soon.